My name's Chris.
And I'm Kristie.
This is the Washing Up Podcast. We're almost fucking there.
I can't believe it. It's been so long.
They sent someone home. But they only sent one of them home.
This is the point we could have been at a week and a half ago.
We didn't need to be
Right
here.
now, we could just be in therapy, decompressing.
So it's the semi-final is over. We didn't podcast last night, as we'll get to in a minute, because we really... Look, we said that we thought we'd do it all in one tonight, but in reality, to be honest with you all, don't podcast angry.
No.
And don't podcast in a negative headspace.
No.
And last night's was shit. And
Between that and all the George bullshit going on,
we just needed...
We would have been grumpy bums.
We
would
were.
have been Mr. and Mrs. Grumpy. And that's not who we are. We're fucking bundles of joy.
We are bundles of joy.
Goddamn fucking bundles of joy.
I wore a flower crown yesterday for International Wear a Flower Crown Day.
Which is
Gabby's birthday.
So happy birthday, Gabby.
So if anyone listens to the Bake Off podcast, you know who Gabby is. And if you haven't, well, you're missing out. Listen to the Bake Off podcast.
Apparently she's being forced to watch Masterchef tonight to celebrate.
I feel so sorry for you, Gabby. Anyway, so... last night.
Yes.
Let's
unpack that shit show.
So last night they got a head-to-head challenge.
Oh. And they had to go farmhouse, hen house.
Asian
flavors.
It was so fucking stupid.
They cooked some salmon. And a tomahawk.
Because it's Farmhouse Saturday. Wasn't Farmhouse the name of that band that included Betty from Hey Dad? I'm pretty sure that was the name of the band. They did a cover of These Boots Are Made for Walking.
Oh my God, they did too.
These boots are made for a walk-in. Are you ready?
Now, Julie McGregor.
Are you ready? Yeah, Julie McGregor. Betty.
When we were living in Ultimo in Miscellaneous City,
yes,
and I think it was like one of the first daffodil days, you know, and there was Julie McGregor, my mum's favourite at the time,
God,
on the Piedmont Bridge in Miscellaneous City selling daffodils. And I think if Mum could have taken a selfie, there would have been 1 million of them that day.
Thank God your mother couldn't take a selfie. Anyway, So back to this, because focus.
Like poor Julie McGregor, the thing she's known for is also the thing that is the cause of her downfall. Anyway.
It is. Anyway, so let's move on.
Yes.
So,
from pedophiles to wage thieves. Australian TV has it all.
Anyway, wow, that got dark fast. So, Farmhouse, they had to pick, and the advantage was that the Tessa and Tim got
Bone.
I'm keeping my powder dry, Stan.
Okay, sorry.
That's coming later.
Okay.
I've had requests.
Okay.
So, and Victoria, you will get your wish. But, so, T-Boz.
Oh. No, do not bring T-Boz into this. She's fucking R&B royalty, and you've just decided to drop her in with and mash her up with Tim from Masterchef, which is not cool.
Anyway, so they got to pick what pantry. Now, funnily enough, Tessa picked Asian.
That's unnatural. That wasn't geared to her at all.
And then so Tim picked the Farmhouse.
Oh, I thought he was going to go for the sweets. Like it's just
look, it was natural. It was natural for Tim.
He's the sweet king.
Well, at one point last night when they got after the judging, George Columbaris looked Tim dead in the eye. Was it Tim? Was it George Columbaris? It might have been Matt Preston who went... It was Matt Preston who went, you're becoming, a master of everything. And I'm like, he was in the second challenge and cooked for you because he couldn't cook a steak, which is his thing. And if you look at the last 3 challenges that Tim had failed, it was a steak, and pork. The 3 things he's supposed to be good at. So that comment of you're becoming a really good all-rounder was ridiculous. So we'll come back to...
Remember, we're bundles of fucking joy.
Bundles of fucking joy. Sorry about that. Bundles of fucking joy. So
Fundles of bucking joy.
there's jundles
of bucking foy.
Fundles of bucking joy. And at this point, then they had to do the knife draw. And Nicole was so upset with the fact that she might have possibly had to go up against her friend Tessa. And so they played up the friendship angle right up until the point where she drew the knife and actually had to go against Tessa.
She's like, gonna cut a bitch.
Which then,
I've got the knife.
Well, they both did the same thing. I love her dearly. She's my best friend in here, but I'll kill her.
She's going down.
You're dying. And then it got a bit more ridiculous because then Nicole also felt the need to work in how much she loved Matt Sinclair. For no apparent reason, really.
Look, it gets lonely in the Masterchef house. That's all I'm saying.
I'm wondering if she knew that Matt Sinclair was like out the back. Because he was coming in the next day. So, Tim, Tessa, Simon in particular. All of them have talked about their development as chefs and their development in cooking and the way they've developed.
So far they've come.
So last night, and they've all talked about their development.
Yeah.
So the four of them last night, to quickly round up the challenge and what they did in their head-to-head.
Yeah.
Okay? So to summarise.
Yeah.
Tim used a hibachi to cook some meat.
Yes.
Tessa used Asian flavours, and I use that in inverted commas, Josh, don't at me. Simon went with pork and vegetables and then forgot to put the pork on the plate.
No, refrained from putting the pork on the plate. Okay.
And Nicole had a nervous breakdown, which is what she's done for the last 2 weeks. So they just kept going in the way that they've started, really. And
by where we are at with the contestants, right? Even they are 2 weeks past their prime. You know what I mean? Like if this whole shebang happened,
if this had ended
2 weeks
ago,
before,
if this had ended in Perth week,
would have been great.
Yep. I think after Perth, it's not gone well for them. Like we talked about it the other day again when we talked to Elena. She was talking about the fact that she was concerned for them because she's never seen like 3 out of 4 contestants not plate up something.
Yep.
This again had plating issues. Nicole had massive plating issues. Simon keeps on getting through by cooking a bunch of stuff and then taking the key element and not putting it on the plate. Which I look forward to that in a 3-course service challenge in the grand final, where Simon will tell you what the dish is and then not cook it for you.
Yeah.
His restaurant's going to be amazing. It's not going to actually start as a vegan smokehouse. It's going to start as a normal restaurant, and the meal that you get will be vegan smokehouse because for whatever protein you've ordered, that's not going to appear on the plate.
But the great thing is there's a nice little butcher next door where you can pick up some pork for cheap.
Hey, if you go to the dumpster, all the wasted food is there.
Exactly.
All that pork that he's cooked and gone, I'll flow that out. So it was.
You know how you get a complimentary mint at the end of your dinner? His restaurant, you're going to get a complimentary. I say that as if modern restaurants do that.
Oh, they should.
The majority of them don't. You get a complimentary pork chop on the way out.
They really should, in all honesty. Like now.
Do you remember my favourite, the after dinner mints? They come in that little package, and I know it's very wasteful, and they're nice and thin, and
they'll whap out thin. So George gave some advice out last night that, and look, not the week to take George advice. We will get to Columbaris, everybody. I know you're waiting for it. We will get there. We're determined it's not going to dominate the podcast, but I promise we'll get there.
Quite frankly, what hasn't been said on Twitter, but keep going.
Anyway, so there was a bit of advice that he gave last night where he looked at, I can't remember who it was, it might have been Tessa, and went, what you need to do is don't be inventive here. You just need to do something that you know and do it well. That's the ethos of this show. Cook something that you know and do it well. And in the true spirit of that, Nicole made a dish that she's made before.
And didn't do it as well.
And Tessa made her crab from week 3, I think it was. And if you go online and check out the recipe, Tessa made her crab from week 3.
Yep.
So I'm not going to tell them off for that because they absolutely followed
George's advice.
George's advice was make something that you've done and don't reinvent the wheel. Do something well that you've done before.
Culture of the show.
And that that one line for me sums up the problem with the show at the tail end of the series, which is don't try things.
Yep.
Like, again, one of the things we've liked about Larissa is at least she's sort of tried things. You know, and look, as much as Simon annoys the hell out of me, occasionally, not all the time, but occasionally he's tried things. Now, sometimes he's tried things willingly. Sometimes it's a bumbling accident because the pork's undercooked. But be that as it may, he's also trying to do something that we talked at the start of the season, if you remember, about peas. And peas were the thing.
I think they fucked off.
No, because it's now Jerusalem artichokes.
But before that was beetroots. You're always complaining about something.
No, but beetroot's back tomorrow night. They've already shown the bits of the grand final. There's a beetroot there, and I'll tell you now, it's on Simon's plate.
I'm expecting a pea, beetroot, and Jerusalem artichoke medley.
Parfait. So...
Look, Larissa's in there. You never know what you're going to get.
So they only had an hour. Nicole had several moments of, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a bit worried about this. This isn't going very well. Tessa cooked really well. Tim was trying to cook a steak on a hibachi, and they went, you sure you want to do that? It's probably not going to cook evenly. That's a big cut of steak. You need to cook that evenly. And Tim's like, oh, no, I'll be fine.
Oh, it's got a big bit of meat. Just going to slap it on a plate.
And again, as we've mentioned before, Simon paid tribute to all of those local farmers by spending an hour, it turns out, cooking cabbage.
Now, let's get to the line of the night. Mr. Matt Preston admiring cabbage in its natural state.
Look, what he does is he just serves this cabbage in its natural state.
My mum put more processes into cooking up cabbage when she made fucking bubble and squeak. Like
it just looked like he'd sliced a bit of cabbage
and put it in a frying pan.
Put it in a pan, turned it, and put it on the plate. Now, someone will add us on this because the people. As we've got to the end of this series, the crazy, well, don't you know people are really out in force on Twitter, and I say more power to you, enjoy it. But we're getting more and more ads, and someone will go, oh, the technique in that cabbage. No, he spent an hour cooking cabbage on the third last night of Masterchef.
This is where we're at, people.
An hour.
Okay, I want you to rewind. Go back and watch Elena v. Matt.
We watched it the other day. It's
in their grand final, and even their final, like leading up to it. There is so much more technique. Even Matt Sinclair, I'm going, in all honesty, I understand why he wants back in the competition now.
I can do this.
He's like, bitches, I would kill you with the skills I had back then.
We might have had a little bit of a moment where we looked up at the gantry and went, if they could all come back in.
And just mix them up with the people that we like.
Yeah, it could
that are entertaining, I should say.
Could have been interesting. We'll come to that in a minute. So they did all of that, and after all of that, we got a few things. Now, John Slacksmith pointed out what Twitter has been waiting for all year.
Yeah.
When Tim served up his steak, and John Slacksmith tweeted out, finally, a plank. We haven't had our food served on a plank significantly this year.
No.
Tim finally got there. 3 nights to go.
It's majority of it has been plates. There's been a few slates here and there, but majority plates, which is great to see. Good to see the plate making a comeback.
Plate over slate.
Plate over slate any day. I looked. I had a Facebook memory pop up today, which was a restaurant where things were served on the back of a skateboard.
Oh God!
Fucking shit you not.
Wow, that has to happen.
Anyway,
that has to happen. So
it's happened,
and I do also have to shout out. I do actually have to shout out Merlo the Wonder Dog on Twitter, who asked the question because Tim was supposed to serve his steak medium rare, and it was slightly medium to medium well.
It depended on which side of the steak you went to,
and he was doomed. He was almost in tears that he'd committed this faux pas. Merlo the Wonder Dog on Twitter did ask the question of Simon, who just served, as we know, cabbage. But did he serve his cabbage medium rare? It's an important question that was needing to be asked, and thank you, Merlo the Wonder Dog, for asking it. So, now Nicole, unfortunately in this challenge, she did salmon, and she got her inspiration from a couple of different areas. She got her knife skills inspiration from Simon.
The filleting.
The filleting, she had gone to Simon's School of Filleting.
Term loosely.
And she'd used Tim's steak cooking techniques.
Yep.
And way screwed up the salmon.
Wrong people to be channeling at this point.
Yeah, don't channel the two of those with those elements. No. Not quite. So we ended up getting a challenge between Tim and Nicole making desserts.
Yeah, now at this point you're probably backing Nicole.
I would have backed Nicole 100%.
But she just wasn't in a headspace.
Well, it was really weird. And again, Victoria on Twitter asked, how are they making so many avoidable mistakes this far into the competition? And the answer is, to be honest with you, we don't know. Someone will go, oh, it's the stress and the pressure. But you are in the last 3 nights. You should be used to the idea of stress and pressure in cooking. And you should have some, and like it wasn't even a set dessert. It was the pan, you had the bench, which was the dessert bench.
Yep.
Tim decided to do pears. And
despite Gary
went, I don't like pears. And he went, I'm going to do pears.
I'm a white man. I'm going to white man explain you pears to a white man.
They asked him what will happen if the pears don't work.
Yeah.
I might have yelled cabbage.
Now the pears don't work.
So
it just makes it worse. And I
basically
praise the steak again.
Well done. So basically there ended up being a parfait. There was there was a parfait, there was an ice cream, there were pears.
There was a stuffing that really did look very...
Yeah. Tim's like, if they don't boil down, I'll stuff them. And then he turns around to the camera and goes, but of course, if they're not cooked down properly anyway, then stuffing them will just make them harder to eat. Which was just blinding insight from Tim. Like my plan B is make them harder to eat.
So he stuffed them in the end.
Because they did actually boil down and it worked. Nicole's dessert... I've never seen anyone lose confidence faster. I've never... And she's like... She was crying at one point saying, I've got no confidence left and I don't quite know why. And I, to be honest with you, don't know what happened either. Maybe it was the bees.
Fucking bees. They just stole the mojo.
But after Western Australia Week, Nicole stuffed up a few times and she never really got back on.
Yeah.
And we've said this about there have been a few people that sort of made a few big mistakes on this last run-in. And you've just seen some speed wobbles. And I mean, Nicole was the one wobbling the most. And so it's probably right that she went.
Absolutely. You know, half of this challenge towards the end is your state of mind and how well you manage the pressure. So
yep. So that's what Tim did quite well was, like we said, Tim can follow a recipe. Like he can stick close to a recipe and he can follow those guidelines. Now, we will very quickly cover Columbaris before we talk about the second challenge.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to take you back to when I was 14 and 9 months and my mum forced me to start working legally this time, not just cash in hand down and scooping up hair at a hairdresser at the local McDonald's. And I, would show up for my shifts, early, get ready, be there, and we'd work late. And I was at high school, so, and teenagers need so much sleep, but not me apparently. It was a busy Saturday because fucking Green Day had come to town. Oh no, it was fucking Silverchair playing at UTS. Okay, so the Macca's was fucking smashed and my shift was due to end at 7 and I'd been there since 6 a.m. And this delightful employer just goes, no, you're not going. And I'm like, well, I need to leave. And I physically couldn't even if I tried because she had a key and my stuff was locked in the locker. So I couldn't actually leave. I didn't get paid for those hours and I was stuck there. My dad went down and had a word to them, but all that did was just piss this particular woman off more and I ended up quitting. So, this is just a small example, but, employers have a power over the employees, and when you work for a good employer, you feel valued, you're getting paid correctly. And I've worked in non-profits for the past fucking 15 to 20 years and your pay is never going to be good because that's the nature of non-profits, but the work environment is key. So when you find out that people who work in an industry that is always, serving other people. You're under intense pressures to get it right. And sure, it's the kind of work that you can kind of do and leave when you walk out the door. But while you're there, you've got to be 100% focused on what you're doing, whether you're preparing the food or serving the food or monitoring the cashier and all that kind of stuff. And to have these egos in the top end benefit off your fucking slavery, and particularly foreign workers who have such an even deeper power imbalance because they're here generally on a visa, and any work they can get helps them stay in the country. To have absolute arrogant pricks like George Columbaris, Neil Perry, and there's a fucking host of them. I'm even going to throw Heston in there because he's had some issues, is reprehensible.
So, to follow up on that, just quickly, and then we will move on.
Sorry,
we promise you will, because we know you don't want to hear it.
You can.
No, but I've got something to add on that. So. Okay. A couple of people tweeted, one person tweeted about get a life, this is a cooking show. We're not talking about the cooking show, we're talking about the reality of the situation here.
Yeah.
My read on the situation from an outside perspective with no information on this is Channel 10 thought this would blow over because originally we all knew there was an issue, but we thought, 1.2, 1.3 million. And
Which over his number of restaurants.
You can argue that with the number of restaurants and the number of things, while it is not good, you can go, well, there's an oversight there. $8 million is not an oversight. $8 million is practice. So
that's a business model.
I think Channel 10 might be caught a bit off guard by this. Now, do I think they're going to get rid of Columbaris? No, I don't.
No.
They're not going to get rid of George Columbaris.
Why? Because
do we think they probably should? I think they probably should anyway, but that's not going to happen. But what we made clear last night on Twitter is we care a hell of a lot about the contestants in this series.
Yep.
We care a lot about everybody here who's listening. We care a lot about everyone on Twitter, and people we've interacted with. And we're going to finish it out because we're finishing it out. In terms of even Gary and Matt, and someone said, well, Matt went on radio and defended George the other day. At this point in time, the only thing I will say, and do I think he should have defended him? No, but the one thing I will say to you is they are 3 episodes from the end of a series they're all working together in. You don't really expect Matt Preston to go on radio and go, no, George is a dick and I'll never work with him again. They have significant money tied up in this. You have to understand the implications there from a business sense and a brand sense. Yes, we're talking about the importance of the workers' rights, which is the far more important element, and we're talking about Columbaris. I think we can't say what Gary and Matt know because contrary to what you might think, they're not that closely entangled on that front. They're entangled closely on the Masterchef front, and they're protecting their brand, and they're going to lock in around that. Now, do I think that they knew that he was underpaying him by $8 million? No. God, no. Like, they don't have access to his books. Right? So, we're finishing it out because, first of all, we've got a big caring for the series because even though there have been some problems, they've actually done a bit of a better job overall, and we're going to get to some of the stuff, including giving Columbaris a little bit of props in this next challenge. So just prepare for that because now we're separating out what we've got on the TV from the individual. Mm-hmm. But the other benefit of this is, God, Twitter's been fast with some comments.
Marco, you're a fucking legend.
Marco at Ozlofer is just on fire at the moment. Nez has been brilliant too on Twitter. And we're going to get to one of the moments of the night coming up. So Nicole goes home at the end of this challenge and we get to finally the one we're all waiting for, which is where the judges have to cook.
Yep.
They brought in Curtis Stone for this one, which I thought was really cool.
And he was a joy to watch.
Curtis Stone adding personality where there was none.
Like, there's just Matt and George, not Matt, Gary and George just cooking along. It's like, and Curtis go, you know what? It's fucking 3 minutes and this would taste better with mustard. So I'm going for it.
We'll come back to that in a minute. But the other thing that was added into this was all the past contestants came back, and I'm not going to lie, the wall of personality that hit. We got to see some. Mandy was back. Steph was there. Jess was there.
Tati.
Ben. Yes. Allegedly Waleed. Once again, they were there in body, but the microphone was weak. I saw Monica.
Briefly,
we all saw, far more of a couple of contestants than we've ever seen in our lives.
Someone catered a wedding and wasn't that newsworthy.
They were playing with hair at one point. So we've got...
It's like, you were here for a couple episodes. Welcome back, Blake.
Yeah,
nice hair.
Hey, Blake, nice hair. And I wanted Blake to say it hasn't changed. You didn't pay any attention. This is
actually
what it
shorter.
always. This is actually what it always was. I had a ponytail, dude. Ponytail. So, anyway. So, we had all of those contestants came back in. We had a wall of personality. Mm-hmm. The judges got to cook. The contestants got to be a little bit more relaxed. They weren't actually, I'm not going to lie, they weren't actually that relaxed.
We find out Tati's been having erotic dreams of Curtis Stone, and I presume her Curtis Stone erotic fiction webpage
comes
will
out
be
soon.
coming soon. Yeah.
We hope to actually get, eventually.
CUMMING soon is what the placeholder is on
I would like to have Tati. I'd like to have Tati on the podcast just so she can read excerpts from her Curtis Stone romance novel. We got all these contestants, which was amazing. I said the four that were left. Tim was actually the funniest.
Yes.
Larissa was doing a lot of the narration, but it wasn't. It felt a bit more forced.
Yeah.
Like she was reading lines. My favourite moment was the moment where Simon came over and tried to do the George. And walked off camera the wrong way. And George is like, wrong way, you idiot. That was funny.
Yeah.
The moment that undercut it all was, as we said, Curtis goes, fuck it, I want mustard, and I'm going to take the penalty.
Yeah.
And so he goes into the pantry and comes out, and they give him the second yellow card, which puts him in the naughty chair.
Yes.
And George starts critiquing him and chastising him for being a thief. And Twitter
timing
exploded upon itself like a supernova. It was unbelievable, the run. And this is the positive out of this. Obviously, eventually, we hope everybody gets their wages back and then some. And we hope George actually...
we hope there's a big transformation in the industry.
We hope, again, not likely, unfortunately, because there's 70% of people underpaid in the industry, but we hope. But the benefit for the audience watching at home is George is just giving us layups.
Yep.
And it's not intentional because this was all filmed a long time before any of this came out. So they did the challenge.
Just think of the front cover of The Good Weekend where...
They had to pulp it because it was millions of dollars worth.
Well, it was also fucking poorly noted because there is this whole thing of like, oh, you need to do self-care in order to make it in the world, this corporate world and like high pressure. You need to engage in self-care. Self-care goes a fair way, but it goes even more to making things work for you when you're working hard.
Tell me.
Your full fucking wage. That'll really help there,
Full wage is always helpful. So... I'm going to say something that's going to make me feel really dirty.
Here's some fodder for you, Tati.
George Columbaris' dish was really good.
Oh, look, the fucker can cook. He didn't get where he was without being able to cook.
No, I feel bad for saying that, but George Columbaris, I would have jumped through the screen and eaten George Columbaris' dish. I really, really would have.
And that's enough of that. Curtis Stone, on the other hand, after getting his bouquet of herbs and I'm sure coming back wrapped in just a banana leaf in Tati's
mind. The last of the banana leaves is wrapped around Curtis.
I was standing on the gantry looking down at my beloved as he ran out to the garden.
He shook my tree.
He returned, swathed only in a banana leaf. Suddenly, no one else was in the Masterchef kitchen. Just him, me, and a cold steel bench.
We'll be back to Tardy Masterpiece Theatre right after this. So, yeah, I mean, that was interesting. And then we had the relay challenge. Mm-hmm. And the relay challenge was cool because we got to see Poe, Billy, and even Matt Sinclair. And again, I'm not going to lie... I really wanted that dish.
Yeah, like Matt Sinclair.
He's annoying, but the fucker can cook.
Yeah.
So they did, funnily enough, Matt Sinclair got to go first and last. So what are the odds? And of course, so he got to set the dish. So he made it a Thai seafood dish, which is what you would expect from Matt Sinclair. The contestants' dish ended up being a dessert. You had to hero the coconut. And speaking of coconuts. Or more should I say, the speaking coconuts.
I just wanted more of Matt with his little coconut puppets.
Matt Preston's coconut theatre.
Look, puppetry
of the cocoa.
Look, if MasterChef is cancelled, or they have to replace the judges. He's got a backup. And
Preston's Coconut Fun Time, kids.
Coming in, what's it called? That week they do the testing.
Pilot week.
Matt Preston.
Matt Preston's Coconut
Theatre.
Hey, everybody.
He's the new Mully Grubs.
Oh, no. But it was the way that he, got really close down to it, too. So he could, listen to what the coconut was saying when it was talking.
I presume it was a lot of sloshing.
Oh, it was. It was amazing. So the coconut puppets was something else entirely. And they did give us the drinking game to finish off with by saying, this could be the greatest night in Masterchef history. And what we got was Peter Gilmore. And we knew we were getting Peter Gilmore because if you've watched anything on 10play, for example, My Market Kitchen, watch that on 10play, people. Every time you go to a new episode, you got the fucking promo of the 2 hours and Matt Preston and Peter Gilmore. So it's, we all knew that there was something there. We could see that it looked like a bit of ice cream on top. It looked to me like it was just ice cream from a distance.
It wasn't. The Snow Egg had drama to it.
Theatre drama.
Theatre. Oh, had
Snow Egg 2 Electric Boogaloo didn't have quite as much.
No. It really was the Heathers 2 to this. It just I just felt a bit disappointed. I know there's probably a lot of skill and technique, and obviously he's a fucking genius. And if I went to the restaurant and that was on the menu, I'd go for it. But
I didn't feel it. I'm not going to lie. I missed the service challenge. And I know tomorrow night is technically a service challenge.
And I'm happy with that.
But I like the restaurant service challenge, not the let's get all the past contestants back and serve them challenge. But
we get to see people.
But we do that in a grand final normally. Right? That's fine. I don't need that to be the service challenge. The kitchen service challenge is always really bloody good.
Yeah.
And I don't count the press club. That was George getting free labour. So, and trying to buy off his staff by giving them a free meal. Anyway,
fucking relaunch. It's not even he's ending the restaurating business. He's just taking.
I'm opening something else here.
He's I'm sick of the decor, and it's probably turned out to be cheaper for me to go elsewhere.
It's the press club building, but I'm over the name. Let's come up with something else.
Yeah.
So, Peter Gilmore's dish, which was a coral, is what it was.
It was. Look. I think we are at late stage capitalism where they're drawing inspiration from the death of the Great Barrier Reef.
Well, look, we've watched a lot of Blown Away.
Yeah.
And I did feel like the Peter Gilmore dessert was a Deborah piece of glass. There is a deep
sexualized enough.
But there was a deep political message behind it, and it was about the bleaching of the coral reefs.
And the coral representing the feminine.
Yeah, the coral. No, that was the puree underneath it.
Oh, yeah, it was a big turd.
The prunes underneath it represented the cleaning out of the capitalist system, and gender is part of that.
Okay.
And if you haven't watched Blown Away on Netflix, what the fuck are you doing? Go watch it. It's amazing.
Get over there.
Anyway, so I didn't really like the look of it. I also thought that, again, MasterChef, first of all, they've been inundated with everyone bitching about George Columbaris. Then they present something that looks like bleached coral. So everyone spent 15 minutes on Twitter talking about the fact that the Great Barrier Reef is dying and climate change is real.
You take those elements out of that clam-shaped bowl and it
take away the liquid nitrogen, which is...
It looked like styrofoam on a plate.
Yeah, and take away the liquid nitrogen.
Now we're really... Come on, remember we're supposed to be...
We're going to be really positive.
Bundles of fucking joy.
We're going to be bundles of fucking joy at the end.
But it was good because I liked it because it did put everyone through the ringer for a skill set. So,
that part was good. And in terms of the challenges, before we get to the challenge, I do just want to mention one thing out of the montage at the start. Because they gave them all moody shots. So we saw Larissa got the Ben shot, which was the reflectively drinking coffee. We got Tessa looking out the window sort of...
she's in a middle monologue.
Into the middle distance. And she talked about the fact that she's come a long way. And they went back and showed her first dish, which was, of course, fish. This is not really the best example of that. Tim was looking reflective through the glass as well. They didn't show Simon with it. They showed Simon in the car on the way. Simon's like, no, I'm not posing.
And I'm really glad to see that they're committed to, the environment. With
those 4 cars again.
4 cars, yeah.
Like, seriously. Well, use the Vespa. It's there. It's not there. We haven't seen it. We didn't see it tonight.
No.
I wonder if Matt Sinclair took it.
Probably.
Like, that would be cool.
George has stolen it to pawn to pay for his fine.
So they got in there and they started
Find it on Gumtree.
They started their cook, and we have a couple of things we need to talk about with this cook. Not really the actual cooking, because to be honest with you, the steps were pretty mundane. They worked on the coral, they put it in a blast chiller and then left it for an hour and a half, and they're like, we don't know if the dish has worked until an hour and a half's time, rendering the rest of the dish useless.
Look, when the pressure section of it comes down to whether the Tupperware has
the Tupperware held or not.
Has the Tupperware held in the air?
That's a problem.
Or not?
Now, what we did get, though, a couple of things we have to ask. So my first question I have to ask you, because I can't really tell. How exactly did Tim require a blue bandage while making ice cream?
I think it was from Jess's sharp repertoire.
Because that brings us to our other point, which is...
On the gantry.
Jess on the gantry was the hero tonight that we all needed.
You were the coral in this bowl of Masterchef.
You were the bright coral in the bowl of bleached.
Yeah, you had fucking anemones and little Nemo
There was
fish.
Seahorse colonies swimming around you. Seahorse colonies swimming around you. There were a couple of people on Twitter bitching, going, "Oh, I thought that Abby's commentary was bad, or I thought this commentary was bad, but now Jess has started up." And I'm like, no, Jess is coming with the funnies.
Yeah.
Jess is coming with the funnies. And what was her best funny?
I can't remember.
It relates to Tim.
It was the bone thing. Oh, you're in the bone zone.
In the bone zone.
Thank you for the reminder.
I had to, because you loved it. You're in the bone zone. You're in the... Zone. So...
Apparently.
Welcome, Victoria. So...
That is the Raymond Holt soundboard for anyone that's a Brooklyn Nine-Nine fan.
If you haven't got the Raymond Holt soundboard, get it. Because
Soundbone.
there's so many references to bone on there. Anyway, so... Long story short, too late. We got down towards the end, and the issues towards the end were really simple. Tim was working on his American Rosso cream.
Just driving around in the Datsun.
Kebab in a can style. And working on his again, I didn't pay attention to what the cream was called, so I'm calling it American Rosso.
Merrick Watts is a really lovely guy, by the way.
I have no doubts.
He listened to me talk about Twilight. This is, 10 years ago when I really wanted to win a Twilight cape. Now, you have to understand, I have lived with depression for fucking donkey's years, right?
That's what happens when you watch Twilight.
In the middle of it all, when I was like, I couldn't feel a thing. Like, when you're really fucking depressed, it's not about being sad. It's about being actually fucking numb. So...
If you're about to say they taught you to feel again, I'm going to cry.
We'll pull out the Kleenex, Chris. Because Edward Cullen fucking broke my heart in the second one.
I'm rethinking my life choices.
I think it was Breaking Dawn or Eclipse. Anyway, the second one.
Electric Boogaloo! Every sequel is Electric Boogaloo!
Okay, Twilight 2.
Electric Boogaloo!
He broke my fucking heart, and it was the first time I'd felt an emotion for a real genuine one for I do not know how long. So I became, for a short time in my life, a little bit upset. So anyway, long story short, but too late. I called up a radio competition that Merrick Watts was going to be involved in, and he's like, okay, give me the brief. And it was like him and another host head to head on Twilight Facts. And whoever won, then the person won a cape from the show. Well, he won for me. So thank you very much, Merrick Watts. I can't find the cape. I think it might have gone with an X.
It's worth it for Twilight 2 Electric Boogaloo, I'm telling you now.
I just realised what I've admitted to.
Yep. So I'll be hosting this show solo. So, Tim, at this point, let's break you out of this. Tim.
Bone! Okay, back to the bone zone.
Back to the bone zone. And in the bone zone, you know what we throw in the bone zone?
What?
Tim coming up with methods to deal with a split cream. Now, oh boy. So
I just reheat it and keep stirring, don't I?
So Tim goes...
Stop.
So Tim's like, it might be split. And it was scrambled eggs. It wasn't split. And then Peter Gilmore comes over and he's like, I think I've split it. And Peter Gilmore looks at it and goes, yeah, you've definitely taken it too far. He goes, was it cool? I thought so, but obviously I don't know if it might not have been now. And Peter Gilmore's like, you idiot, I'm saying that because it clearly wasn't.
Yeah.
And Tim's like, he goes, so what are you going to do about it? He goes, well, I'm going to heat it up and see if that helps. At which point Peter Gilmore looked at him and just dead straight said, it contains eggs and cream. And Tim looks at him like, is that bad? Now, as our good friend Robert Harwood pointed out, an immersion blender, which would have brought it all back together with no problems. That's what you needed to do. What Tim wanted to do was heat up the scrambled eggs and see if he could bring it back to a liquid.
Yep.
Suddenly the rest of the episode...
From science, you heat stuff up to change its state and you cool it down.
You want to make it a gas? You reckon you can make it a gas?
It's gassy.
Gassy. So to give you an idea, genuinely,
than floating coral,
genuinely, I think Tim is
floating on the eggy gas.
Eggy gas too, electric boogaloo. Anyway, so I genuinely think Tim's an awesome guy.
Yeah.
There's in terms of at the end when he said I'd like to get a beer with all of you, he is the sort of guy you'd like to catch up with over a beer at a pub somewhere and sit down and have a nice steak, not cooked by him, but just
like we shouldn't be choosing politicians over who we'd like to have a beer with.
We shouldn't choose Masterchef contestants over the same principle, and Tim had clearly, unfortunately, reached the end of the line.
Quite frankly, there's a lot of surgeons out there who you would, if you were having a beer with them, you'd prefer to splash it on them and hope it's got a high enough alcohol content that you could set them on fire. But when I'm going in to have my surgery done and I want someone to do a good fucking job, I'm picking those fuckers each and every time.
With our family, we've had one surgeon for one particular thing that my father went in for, and the surgeon was an absolute arsehole, but the reason why the surgeon is used by everyone is he's also the best surgeon in Australia for this thing.
And it's I'm anaesthetised, I do not have to deal with you and your bullshit.
All right, so we get Tim goes home. We end up with a final three. Boned! So we end up with a final three of Tessa, and rightly so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Larissa.
She killed it.
And Simon, and I'm not going to lie, if it's going to be three, they deserve to be the three.
Tim came back on a very controversial dish.
A couple of people pointed out on Twitter tonight, and yes, we like Jess, but not just because we like Jess.
Her dish was pretty fucking phenomenal.
To be blunt, we said it at the time, I still think Jess should have come back in, and that could have been Jess in that, and I think there might have been a slightly different outcome.
Yeah.
But not to be, obviously. Tim did take advantage of the fact that his steak and mushrooms was inventive and creative, apparently, and went on to cook such dishes as steak, pork and steak and pork.
Pork and crackling.
And crackling. And bad crackling. Bad crackling.
And seafood.
And then once made a dessert with pears. So, no, look, Tim's an awesome guy, but unfortunately...
And I wish him all the best.
Unfortunately, this is the end of where he's going in MasterChef, but I think he'll be better suited outside of it.
And we all know that they're going to be going at it like rabbits because his wife, as she's publicly said in their letter, we've put our dreams of having a child on hold. So I'm presuming...
I was hoping we'd have seen the screen that just goes... Tim has 15 kids now. All right, so...
Tim's been doing it, and doing it a lot.
So to finish up the episode, we're not going to do a big preview of tomorrow's grand final because you don't need to hear any more about it in all honesty. What we are going to do, though, is we asked everyone last night as part of this positivity, because as you said, what are we?
Bundles of fucking joy.
Bundles of fucking joy. So, as bundles of fucking joy, the question for what we asked last night was... What is your most positive memory from the MasterChef Australia series? So I'll go through some of these now. Victoria said that her positive memories were Maggie Beer, Massimo's episode, even though they pretend that it never happened now with all the waste. Poe and Billy mentoring, and a majority of the contestants that have already been eliminated, Ben, Tardy, Steph, Jess, all those people. Marco, Ben's shirts, Ben's Twitter, and Ben's ability to use alcohol in nearly every dish. Which are all things I think we can get behind.
Absolutely. Who else have we got?
Who else have we got? Brandon. Now, it's not going to surprise you, but the first thing that Brandon said was Ben.
Oh, really?
Feeling the pure joy that Ben, Tardy and Steph brought to the competition. Seeing Ben get more confidence in his cooking after going through back to basic eliminations. The whole hashtag Team Ben thing. Larissa being a force to be reckoned with, and Billy showing Tessa how to fix her jus. And I'm not going to lie, that's possibly the favourite thing that happened all season for me.
Absolutely.
Was the way that... Well, I've got two favourites. Massimo Bottura, obviously. Even though it sent Ben home, Massimo Bottura. But when Billy, who's copped so much shit for no purpose online, was able to step in when Tessa's jus was splitting and Tessa's like, oh my God, it's over. And Billy just calmly steps in and goes, nope, do this. Fixed. Perfect.
Yep.
One of my favourite things that I've seen. Kim Spicer, Ben's shirts, playing Where's Wally with Ben in the role of Wally. It also works with Where's Waleed. So,
yeah.
Clifton Hillcat tweeted the time that Nickers nearly killed George with chili, and Ben thankfully came on to correct him and say, Tessa. So, Anna at Very Sleepy Koala said the contestants seem to have a lot of camaraderie this year.
Yeah.
Which, yep, that's everything that we've seen, and everyone we've spoken to just seems to be lovely. The kind personalities like Steph and Tardy were delights to watch.
Yeah.
And that during all the earlier stages, they said there was a lot of interesting cooking.
Absolutely.
Yep. Linda Fothergill, and again, if I get your name wrong, I apologise. It's late.
He's a teacher. You know, it's his profession to get your name wrong.
Thanks for that. It's also late. Anyway, Ben's shirts were on point, and that was a really good point for her. Astroneuth, everything tarty, including how she pronounces the word fish. Also, for all of Simon's flaws, bona fide vegetarian vegan recipes.
Yes.
Which, again, I'll give him credit for that. And my favourite response that we got was from Pop Cultured, who simply said, your podcast that begins with, fuck this shit.
Thank you, Pop Culture.
I think you'll find that's Nicotina. Anyway, that's Nicotina, I think you'll find. What's your favourite moment of the series?
Okay, I loved Jess. Every moment of her in the competition was a delight. And getting to interview her too, or just speak to her, because we don't really interview, we just talk about shit, was fantastic. Like you, loved the Billy moment. I think I also really enjoyed when Elena came in to mentor everyone and seeing her on screen again.
Didn't we all? Although, again, I found it really hard to watch that episode because I was literally having the conversation with her while she's going in labour.
Yeah.
So,
and the tweets, I think our tweet game this season has been pretty up there. Like, I get in moods where I can tweet or I have to watch the show. I can either tweet and watch or I just have to watch, otherwise I miss everything. So, yeah, everyone's tweets, particularly Marco's, like, you're fucking hilarious.
As the person who is on Twitter every single night.
Yeah.
Twitter's been great. It's not, and we've said this before, like, it's not been, I haven't really seen, I've seen bits and pieces of people whinging about certain contestants, but not the malicious stuff that we've seen in previous
No, I think we've all learnt.
And the group, and look, the group of people who are tweeting, and most of you are listening, I'd hope so, otherwise, if you're just tweeting along with us and not listening to this, bold. Anyway.
Who are these 100 people that download us?
And how do you get the... We get more than that a week.
I know, but like, there's someone from the Netherlands. We've got a Canadian. G'day, Canadian. Who gets up to fucking watch MasterChef. We've actually
once again passed the monthly record again, and we've still got the grand final and this to go out to go. So anyway... thank you again to everyone. We
dropping numbers.
We're getting big numbers, really big numbers. So
yeah,
they've been amazing, and that's one of my favourite things is the interaction that we've got from you guys. We've asked a lot of questions this year, and we've got a lot of really good things coming back on Twitter. That interaction has been one of my favourite, if not my favourite things. That little community. I've had a couple of people go, "Oh, thank you for the stuff you've done." We've literally done nothing apart from just talk to everybody who's there and sort of, the roll call is just a fun way to make sure we're all watching. And also make sure that we don't annoy anybody who's not watching.
Let's take a moment here, though. Like, okay, so I come on and I just say shit, but Chris gets in there and every week he's making the game card, and I come up with the better stuff on the game card, but he still puts it together and puts it out. Every night he remembers without fail to pull up the roll calls. So, that's all him, that's not me. If I was doing roll call, it might happen once. Maybe twice, but probably at the end of the show. So that's him. So I've just got this very special envelope here from the Virgie committee.
Oh, my God.
Because there's a Virgie that's actually come through. They said, sorry, we probably got the timing wrong. But I just want to take a moment. Now, this Virgie is going...
Oh, give me...
Oh.
It's the line of Doug going to get, isn't it?
Ben Shirts have won a Virgie for being this series MVP.
First of all, for those people that haven't ever listened to the Bake Off series, you don't get this bit. But for everybody else, you're all loving it, and I'm hating it.
I honestly thought it was for you because... Anyway.
I did ask someone the other day, are you doing an award show for Masterchef? No. No, we saved that for...
Which I was quite surprised getting this Virgie envelope, really.
I've got to find out who's on that committee.
So
I always thought it was me, but anyway.
It says very clearly Ben's shirt, so it's not yours, Ben. It belongs to your shirt.
Your shirts. Only your shirts get the award.
The first time it's gone to an inanimate object.
And again, if you don't get any of this, go back and listen to all the Bake Off shows and go back and listen to the Virgies. It's a boarded up theatre restaurant of the mind. So... Thank you, everybody, for listening, for giving us the feedback, for all of those sorts of things. My favourite moments of the series have been your feedback and your interactions. My other favourite moments have been things like Massimo Bottura, because it was Massimo Bottura. I said that Billy
It was your favourite moment before the show.
Before it even happened.
Episode aired.
Again, he sent Ben home, and I still love him. Dealing with the talent that sits to the side of me every night, because... The talent really is Kristie in terms of she comes up with all the funny shit. Like, seriously, she comes up with the funny shit. I just get to steer, which is great fun. And we got one more night of this for Masterchef this year. And then we get a brief breather, possible people on the podcast breaking in there before we go on to Bake Off.
Yeah, because Great British has been filming.
Great British is filming. Great Canadian has been announced. And who the hell knows when Great Australian Bake Off might be back? Maybe next year, maybe the year after. Who knows? I've got a hunch it might be earlier. Anyway, until tomorrow night, I'm still Chris.
And I'm still Kristie.
We will catch you all tomorrow.
Bundles of fucking joy.